Welcome at Pizza and More. Who of you knows what Stromboli is? Correct. Stromboli is one of the Aeolian islands in the north of Sicily. And on this island there is a big, or not a big, but there is a volcano which is always active. It's really absolutely impressive. If you are there, you always see some lava which the volcano is spying out. Yeah, I'm Jürgen and we make this time a dish which is also called Stromboli. But who thinks now Stromboli is a dish from Italy is totally wrong, because Stromboli was founded or invented in the 1950s in Philadelphia in the USA. There was at this time a movie which was called also Stromboli, and in this film or in this movie they made such a bread which was rolled up with several ingredients, and this was also called Stromboli. Stromboli can be filled with everything which tastes. Therefore Stromboli is always original, because there are no rules what needs to be in or what doesn't need to be in a Stromboli. Making it is really absolutely simple. We make a dough from yeast or with yeast, then we wait several times, we fill Stromboli with whatever we want, we roll it up and then we bake it. We will make the dough for our Stromboli, we will make a direct dough with a total leavening time of 24 hours and then with a total hydration of 65%. I thought, let's use 65%, this is not too complicated and possible to make for everyone. Yeah, and then we will fill our Stromboli with a tomato sauce, with some mozzarella fior di latte, with Parmesan cheese, with oregano, with ham, with mushrooms, and you can add whatever you want. And then we roll Stromboli up, we let it raise again a little bit, and then we bake it in the normal kitchen oven, so it's also possible for everyone. And before baking we brush it with an egg, and then we can spread some sesame seed or nigella seed or parmesan over it. And now I would say we start with the dough for our Stromboli. The ingredients for our Stromboli dough are 500 grams of flour. I have here a 0 flour. You also could use 00. This flour has 13% of protein. Then I have 325 grams of very cold water, 15 grams of olive oil, 5 grams of fresh yeast, and 15 grams of fine sea salt. And as I won't bore you how I pour all the ingredients into the mixer, I tell you quickly what I do. At first I pour the water into the machine, then the flour and the yeast, then I mix everything for around 5 minutes, then I add the salt, continue kneading for 5 minutes, then I add the olive oil, and then I continue kneading as well for around 10 minutes. So the total kneading time will be at the end between 20 and 25 minutes. I will knead until I'm able to make the window test. I have the dough already on my counter and I already tried to make the window test. Of course I know it works. The dough had now a total kneading time of 20 minutes. For the window test you take a piece of dough and then you stretch this piece of dough. This is really only to check, is the gluten structure already built? Is the gluten structure strong enough? And you can see the gluten structure is built, the dough is ready, and I can continue. And now I will make a nice dough ball. And if this is done, I take a dough ball box and then the dough comes into the box. Now I close the lid and let the dough rest for 2 hours at room temperature, and then the dough comes for around 18 to 20 hours into the fridge. And 4 hours before baking our stromboli, I will take it out. All the toppings are already prepared and we are ready to bake our stromboli. The dough had now a total leavening time of 24 hours and the dough is now for 4 hours out of the fridge. Everything is already prepared. I have the tomatoes, mushrooms, ham, mozzarella of course, some oregano. Everything is prepared. Actually it's cold in the kitchen because no oven is switched on. We will preheat our oven, not the pizza oven, the normal kitchen oven, so everybody is able to bake it at home as well. And we will preheat the oven in a very short while. And now we start with our stromboli. You can see here already the dough, which is fantastically, it developed absolutely great. I have here semolina. We have to use enough semolina to take the dough out and bring it onto our counter. The bulk and the boil fermentation was in this case exactly only one, so only the same, because we have no small pizza balls. And now I take the dough out of the box. Now I will stretch the dough. I'm here a bit careful as well. I try to keep the air as good as possible inside of the dough, and I try to stretch the dough to a rectangle, maybe 30 to 40 or 40 to 40 centimeters. It depends. We won't have a too thin dough. And if the dough has a nice shape, then we start with our tomato sauce. This is, by the way, normal San Marzano tomatoes with sea salt. Yeah, and here we have to be careful with our borders or with our crust, because we have to close stromboli at the end, and therefore it's important that no ingredients or no toppings are on the crust. And now it's already time for the fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And now we add oregano. And now we add the mozzarella cheese. And now we add some ham. Then we add some mushrooms. And then some olive oil. And now there is the most difficult part. We have to roll the stromboli. And now it's very important to close the edges . Now we take a baking tray with baking paper, and then we have to transfer stromboli over to the baking tray. And then we let our stromboli rest on the baking tray for a short while until we have preheated our oven. We will now preheat our oven to 230 degrees, both sided heat, degrees Celsius of course. I have here an egg, and with this egg we brush our stromboli. And then we add some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And then some black cumin, I think is the right word, or nigella seed. And now, absolutely before we bake our stromboli, we cut into our stromboli. And now it's time for the oven. As I said, the oven is preheated to 230 degrees Celsius, and we add stromboli to one of the middle parted rails. And then we lower the temperature to 200 degrees, and then we bake stromboli for around half an hour. We have to look how stromboli looks like. And now after 45 minutes in the oven, I think stromboli is ready, and I take it out of the oven. And now I would recommend let it now here for around 10 minutes to let it cool down. And now after 10 minutes, let's cut into our stromboli. Oh, extremely great. And now I can taste a bit. Yeah, and you can believe me, this tastes absolutely fantastic. However, it's still quite hot. So I really recommend let it cool down a bit. I personally think the taste is far better when it's not anymore that hot, but then it's really great. Yeah, if you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us also in the next video. Ciao.